If it's wintertime and it's Friday night in Arlington, Virginia, if you come to the Thomas Jefferson Community Center, you'll probably find about 10 high schools competing in indoor track. They run 3 meets simultaneously. Oh, and the boys and girls teams are both there, so it really is like having 6 track meets at once. And they run varsity and JV events, so I guess it's really like having 12 meets all at once. Jiminy crickets! And making sure that all this runs smoothly are Wakefield coach Bob Strauss and Yorktown coach Mark Stripe, along with a multitude of volunteer timers, scorekeepers, and other race officials. The first event on this evening was the girls' 4x8 100-meter relay. The 2 teams entered from Chantilly, took an early lead over the other high schools, and kept widening the gap. By the second time around the track, the Chargers were in command of the race, moving farther ahead of all the teams running. Chantilly's relay runners pushed the lead, with the fastest team getting more than a lap ahead of the other schools. The top Chantilly team finished with a time just over 10 minutes 20 seconds. On the boys' side, Chantilly also ran 2 teams. Their A team got ahead of Fairfax and pushed their advantage. In the end, the Chantilly Boys A team won by more than a minute over second place Fairfax, with Chantilly Boys B in third place. Next up was the hurdles. In the girls' 55-meter hurdles, Fairfax took the first 2 places. Kelly Anderson and Kiana Sherland both posted times just over 10 seconds, more than a half second faster than Emily Garcia Montes from Chantilly. Tessa Beckert from Fairfax was in 4th place. Smriti Subedi from Herndon and Abigail Miner from Chantilly tied for 5th place. On the boys' side, senior Yusuf Ahmed put Herndon on the team scoreboard by taking first place in the 55-meter hurdles. Ahmed finished 0.2 of a second faster than Jose Almodiel from Chantilly. Alexander Zai from Chantilly ran third, and Brandon Lim from Fairfax was in fourth place. In the 55-meter dash, the Fairfax girls again took the first two places. Kiana Sherland was the only sprinter to post a time below 8 seconds, while her Fairfax teammate, Diana Renwick, took second place. Morgan Carson from Chantilly was third, while two other sprinters from Chantilly, Freshta Murad and Sienna DeVoe, were tied for fourth place. So, after 3 events, the Chantilly girls' team score was 1 point ahead of the Fairfax girls. The 9 other events that evening would settle the close contest. In the boys' 55-meter dash, Nicholas Rivera from Fairfax and his teammate Nick Berry tied for first place. The Fairfax sprinters beat Jonathan Cruz of Herndon and Jake Norsini of Chantilly, who had tied for third place, by 0.2 of a second. After 3 events on the boys' side, the Fairfax team score was only 1/2 point ahead of Chantilly, while the Herndon boys only a few points behind in third place. Then it was back to the relays. In the girls' 4x2 100-meter relays, Fairfax held on to win by less than a half second over Chantilly, while the Herndon girls ran third. In team scores, the Fairfax girls suddenly had the lead, with a 1-point edge over Chantilly. In the boys' 4x200-meter relays, the race was the tightest of the evening. Only a half second separated all three schools. The Herndon boys beat out Fairfax by 0.4 seconds, while the Chantilly boys relay team missed second place by only 0.1 second. For the boys, the team scores had tightened up. Fairfax was still in the lead, but Herndon was now in second place, a single point ahead of Chantilly. In the girls' shot put, Chantilly Charger throwers claimed most of the top spots. Simone Ashkew took third place for the Fairfax Rebels. But Chantilly throwers Taylor Chapman and Sophia Wainwright finished fourth and fifth. Julianne Ibakwe took first place by a wide margin, almost 5 feet over her Chantilly teammate Isabel Gauchi, and the Chargers dominated the leaderboard. In the boys' shot put, Chantilly also turned in a strong performance. Jeffrey Pasca won first place for the Chargers by more than a 7-foot margin, while Anthony Zima was in second place for Fairfax. Tristan Ngo from Chantilly was third, Adam Ibrahim from Fairfax fourth, and Rome Thompson from Chantilly in fifth place. Herndon's James Morgan settled for sixth place, a few inches behind Thompson. In the girls' 1,600-meter run, senior Jessica Batchelder won first place for Fairfax by a fairly comfortable margin, but the 5's next best times were all from Chantilly. Senior Megan Rhodes was in second place, and freshman Charger Thwilan Trin was in third place, less than a second behind Rhodes. In team scores for the girls, now Chantilly was back in first place at that point in the meet, but only by a single point over Fairfax. On the boys' side, the 1600-meter race was dominated by Chantilly. Mirjad Khan took first place for the Chargers, running under 5 minutes and almost 10 seconds ahead of his teammate Christopher Wiggle. Alexander Gomez of Fairfax took third place, while Tanner Walker from Chantilly was in fourth place. In the girls' 500-meter dash, freshman Emma Morbito took first place for Chantilly, while her Charger teammate Angela Franke ran second. In the boys' 500-meter dash, the Herndon Hornets took the first 2 spots. Jay Kotra was in first place, more than a half second faster than his Hornet teammate Angel Becerril. Chantilly runners were in third and fourth place, Daniel Mitchell and freshman Conrad Pereira. So, with 7 events in the books, and with 5 more to go, the Chantilly Charger boys' team score was a comfortable 9.5 points over the Fairfax Rebels. But could Chantilly hold the lead? And could Fairfax fend off a Herndon push for second place, given that they were only ahead of the Hornets by 2.5 points after 7 events? The next event, the 1,000-meter run for the girls, featured a duel between freshman Anna Morris from Chantilly and junior Claire Daniels from Fairfax. Youth trumped experience this time, with Morris winning first place by about a second over Daniels. Patricia Kaysen and Katie Doherty, both from Chantilly, ran third and fourth in the 1,000-meter run. On the boys' side, the 1,000-meter run was a big win for the Fairfax Rebels. They grabbed all 4 top times, with Alex McGuire running under 3 minutes for first, followed by freshman Jordan Randall in second, Andy Altizer in third, and Ethan Parkhill in fourth place. With that one event, the Fairfax boys had overtaken the Chantilly boys and suddenly had a 1.5-point lead in team scores. There were still 4 events left in this seesaw tilt, and the Herndon Hornets were still in contention as well. In the girls' 300-meter dash, Erin Dawkins from Fairfax had an easy victory, with a time more than 2 seconds faster than LeClaire Beres from Herndon. In third place was Jenna Thompson from Fairfax. Freshman Emma Burrito from Chantilly couldn't duplicate her victory earlier in the evening in the 500-meter dash and had to settle for 4th place in this event. In the boys' 300-meter dash, Nicholas Rivera from Fairfax took first place, winning by more than a second over Dylan Ellis from Herndon. But the next 3 times were claimed by Chantilly runners, as Oscar Skierczewski was 3rd, while Daniel Mitchell and Ali Ibrahim tied for 4th. In the girls' high jump, Kelly Anderson from Fairfax and Grace Forjancic from Chantilly cleared the bar at the lower levels, but in the end only Kelly Anderson could jump 4 feet 8 inches and won first place. On the boys' side, Conrad Pereira and Chandler Henderson, both from Chantilly, finished in 2nd and 3rd. Brandon Lim from Fairfax took first place with a jump of 5 foot 8 inches. When it came time for the 3,200-meter race, they decided to run it as one event. Boys and girls were out on the track at the same time. On the boys' side, Akub Saeed from Fairfax took first place with a time under 11 minutes, while his teammate from Fairfax, Stephen Albert, came in 2nd. The 3rd and 4th spots were claimed by Joseph Spriggs of Chantilly and his teammate, Andrew Rains from Chantilly. In the girls' 4x400 relay, the Fairfax girls won fairly easily over Herndon with a time under 5 minutes, more than a half minute faster than their Herndon rivals. On the boys' side, the 4x400 relay stayed relatively close, but Chantilly was able to pull away, winning by more than 7 seconds over second place Herndon. The Fairfax boys relay team finished third, a few seconds back of Herndon.